The gallery walls gleamed under harsh fluorescent lights, each piece of Amara's art hanging like a question mark against the sterile white backdrop. She stood in the corner, her dark hands clutching a glass of cheap wine, watching the crowd of investors and collectors drift past her paintings with the kind of polite disinterest that made her stomach churn.
"These are interesting," murmured a woman in pearls.
Her voice carrying the weight of someone who had never needed to create anything to survive. Very urban. Amara's jaw tightened. For 3 years, she had been painting what she thought they wanted to see: softer edges, muted colors, themes that wouldn't make anyone uncomfortable. Gone were the bold crimsons and deep plums that once flowed from her brush like blood from a wound. Gone were the raw emotions that had made her feel alive. Marcus, her gallery representative, appeared at her elbow with his practiced smile.
"Don't worry," he whispered. "Mrs. Henderson is considering the piece with the flowers. I told her it would look perfect in her Hamptons house."
The piece with the flowers, Amara almost laughed. It was a painting of wilted roses in a crystal vase, so far from her truth that she had signed it with someone else's name in her mind. She had painted it after Marcus suggested she needed something more accessible for this crowd.
"I've been feeding them salt," she said quietly.
"What? Nothing?" Amara set down her wine glass and walked toward the exit, each step echoing against the polished concrete floor. Outside, the city breathed around her in ways the gallery never could. Street vendors called out in languages that painted pictures in the air. A saxophone player on the corner pulled melodies from his soul that made the fluorescent-lit space behind her seem like a mausoleum. This was her world, messy, authentic, alive. She found herself walking toward the community center in her old neighborhood, where paint-stained children's artwork covered every available surface. The building wore its age like a badge of honor. All exposed brick and windows that had seen decades of dreams take shape. Through the glass doors, she could see the evening art class in session. A group of teenagers sat around paint-splattered tables, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of desk lamps. Their canvases bloomed with colors that made Amara's chest ache: midnight blues swirling with antique gold, deep purples that seemed to pulse with life.
"You coming in, or just gonna stand there looking lost?"
The voice belonged to Jerome, the center's director, a man whose silver beard framed a smile that had welcomed thousands of kids over the years.
"I was just watching," Amara said.
But she followed him inside anyway. The teenagers looked up as she entered, their eyes curious but not judgmental. One girl, maybe 16, was working on a piece that took Amara's breath away. A self-portrait that captured not just her features but her fury, her hope, her complexity. The brushstrokes were bold and unapologetic, each mark a declaration of existence.
"This is beautiful," Amara said.
Leaning closer, what inspired it?
"My grandmother," the girl replied.
Not looking up from her work.
"She always said I should paint my truth, not what people want to see,
She finally met Amara's eyes.
even if it makes them uncomfortable."
The words hit Amara like a physical blow. She thought of her grandmother too, who had taught her to mix colors by moonlight, who had shown her that art was not decoration, but revelation. When had she forgotten that lesson?
"Can I?" Amara hesitated. "Can I paint with you?"
Jerome handed her a brush without question. The teenagers made room at their table, and for the first time in years, Amara found herself reaching not for the safe, commercial colors, but for the deep plum that had always called to her. The paint felt like coming home. As she worked, the teenagers talked about their lives, their dreams, their anger at a world that often didn't see them. Their honesty was intoxicating. Here was thirst, real thirst, not the manufactured desire she had been trying to create in people who would never truly understand her work. "I used to paint for people who would never love what I was really trying to say," Amara said, her brush moving across the canvas with increasing confidence.
"I thought I could make them thirsty for something they didn't
That's
want."
exhausting, said Marcus, not the gallery Marcus.
But a teenage Marcus, whose eyes held wisdom beyond his years.
Why not just find people who are already thirsty?
The revelation settled over Amara, like sunlight after rain.